Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Clean Chemical Monitoring Expert Series with your chemical monitoring expert, Alex Hilliker. Joining us for this episode and the last one and probably the next one to come is Dr. Ivan Salgo, Chief Medical and Scientific Officer at ASP. Dr. Salgo, welcome back to the series.
Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We wrapped up the last episode talking through a white paper that ASP and ChemDAC worked on together, and you also mentioned in that episode that the goal of using hydrogen peroxide in sterile processing is to oxidize germs, not people. Groundbreaking stuff. So, would you expand on that for me a little bit? Talking about how is hydrogen peroxide supposed to be used in sterile processing, and how do we accomplish that Dr. Salgo goal of oxidizing germs and not people?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we said, the vaporized hydrogen peroxide is there to oxidize the bacteria, viruses, etc. That's the oxidized germ part. So what I wanted to talk about is, but not the people part. We don't want to oxidize the people. And that's the benefit of actually plasma, and actually in a plasma sterilizer that uses plasma technology, it has an antenna or a cage inside the sterilizer. So you use hydrogen peroxide and you design the cycles the way you want, but then when you're done with it, you want to get rid of the vaporized hydrogen peroxide before you open the door. And that's how that electrode works. That electrode puts some energy into the hydrogen peroxide vapor. It creates a hydrogen peroxide plasma, and this is the key benefit. The key benefit is once you turn off the antenna, it becomes oxygen and water, so that by the time you open the door, that concentration is very low or negligible. And that benefit of plasma helping to eliminate or facilitating the elimination of the hydrogen peroxide vapor was formally recognized by the FDA at their town hall last year.
Yeah, so that hydrogen peroxide gas plasma string of words you'll find in our certification textbook for sterile processing. There are actually quite a few different modes of delivery of hydrogen peroxide sterilization, but that gas plasma piece of it is what you're describing. Then is that strategy for eliminating the hydrogen peroxide after the cycle is done to make sure that it's not escaping from the chamber. Fugitive emissions, I think you called them.
Yeah, that's right, and that the antenna is in the chamber. That the key benefit is when the plasma is activated inside the sterilization chamber. That's right.
Yeah, and so regardless of what method we're using, we want to make sure that we are dealing with those, dealing with that hydrogen peroxide, so it's not escaping the chamber. But that's a very important strategy for doing so. Alex, one of the things that's come up on pretty well all of our episodes, rightfully so, because this is the chemical monitoring expert series, is the importance and kind of strategy of that continuous monitoring or chemical monitoring. You want to talk us through how continuous monitoring in particular can help make sure that we're not oxidizing people and that we're oxidizing germs?
Yeah, well, let's go back to why is this a problem in the first place, and it's that hydrogen peroxide at low concentrations is odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Wouldn't it be great if you just knew right away if there were fugitive emissions at the end of a cycle? The reality is that technicians could be, emphasis on could be, being exposed to low levels of hydrogen peroxide when they're unloading and reloading the sterilizer. So where continuous monitoring comes in is it shines a light in the darkness, if you will. So if there are fugitive emissions coming out of that machine at the end of a cycle, it will register on your monitor in real time so that you have the tools and the data and information that you need to make effective changes to your ventilation, your workflow, or maybe you need preventive maintenance on that machine. So in addition to the staff safety component, one of the things that I talk about with folks in this space is think of a monitoring system for hydrogen peroxide like a check engine light on your car. It may serve as an indication that something is not performing optimally with that particular sterilizer. Now, I'm on record in this series, as well as other conversations, that sterilizer manufacturers emphasize the importance of safety in manufacturing these machines. Of course, it's paramount. But we know that they're still machines. Sometimes machines can and do fail. And so you want to make sure that you've got a safety system in place to catch that early, alert your local rep, and potentially perform some preventive maintenance on that machine.
Yeah, well, if If I can underline that at all, if you're interested in any just curious reading, want to go look at a train wreck, go read through the FDA mod database and try to find some of these equipment malfunctions, because there are some hydrogen peroxide sterilizer failures in there, and some of the descriptions of them are pretty wild. So that's your homework. In the previous episode, we talked not only about how to keep employees safe, but also to help workflow. Dr. Salgo, would you want to highlight for us how continuous monitoring can impact, or I guess maybe the fugitive emissions could impact a sterile processing workflow, and why we need to make sure that we keep a good beat on that?
Sure, absolutely. So another area that's of importance and interest to me is health economics. I've sat on a big health system value and purchasing committee. So it's all about the workflow. So for example, when I've talked to some staff, they wait if for example, there isn't a way to eliminate the hydrogen peroxide vapor if you open the door, and there's a study that's published in the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Hygiene that talks about fugitive emissions after you open the door. If you wait, that waiting can be a hidden cost in terms of affecting your workflow. So here's the connection of environmental safety to health economics and improving throughput and reducing waiting time. There's basically an opportunity cost, as the economists like to say, that can reduce operational efficiency. So wouldn't it be great if you could oxidize the germs and then not oxidize the people, and then not have to wait to keep unloading the sterilizer? That's what smart technology facilitates.
Alex, we've talked about that strategy a number of times, both here and elsewhere. Any other considerations around workflow of why continuous monitoring of fugitive emissions might be the right thing to do?
Yeah, I would just say that knowledge is power, right? Understanding emissions, just in general, as we've talked about the last couple of episodes, helps inform your decision making in the department, both in terms of your workflow, the technologies that you invest in, safety and training with your team members. I think all of those things sort of come together. And if I could summarize the last couple of discussions with Dr. Salgo, I would say just that. Develop a good understanding of fugitive emissions for hydrogen peroxide. The white paper that ASP and ChemDAC published together is a great resource for that we encourage you to read and discuss with your teams. There's this growing international consensus that we talked about in the last episode about the importance of monitoring for short-term repeat acute exposures in the department. And then, we talked about throughout this series, as you mentioned, Bobby, that continuous monitoring gives you the ability to not make those decisions in the blind. It's giving you real data to inform those decisions and shoot towards those positive health outcomes consistent with the new regulations that are coming on board. So before I kick it back to you, Bobby, I do just want to say thanks to Dr. Salgo again for joining us. Thanks for your partnership and thought leadership in this space. I think we're doing really great and important work together, so appreciate your support.
Yeah, very happy to be collaborating with you, Alex.
Yeah, well said. This is my kind of episode as well. I had some aspirations of being a chemical engineer myself, and of course, I love SPD operations, so this is threading the needle just right for me. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you've got any further questions for Dr. Salgo or for our expert Alex Hilliker around chemical monitoring best practices, around this white paper, around how to make sure that we're oxidizing the germs, not the people, we'll make sure the contact information is in the video description. Until we talk to you again next time, we'll leave you as we always do over here at Beyond Clean. Keep fighting dirty.